everybody, it is Jason and welcome to 2019. Happy New Year. Sorry it's a little bit late, I know I say that a lot, but it's been a bit of a weird start to the year because obviously there was New Year's Day and going back to work sort of happening in the middle of last week, but then I had a Charing Cross appointment on the 3rd of January, which was the weirdest time to give me an appointment. But yes, so today I'm going to be talking about that, and I'm going to be doing an update on top surgery. So, another reason why I haven't been able to upload stuff until now is because there's been a load of tiring admin rigmarole. So, Charing Cross happened on the 3rd. It was supposed to be for an endocrinology appointment, which I have mentioned about before. It was all fine. The reason why they needed to see me is that they were concerned about the potential of me having PCOS, aka Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. And this comes from some results that came about like when I just come out and did my first referral in 2016. There was a free androgen index that was 7.4, I believe. They got a bit kind of, and I had to go and have a scan, and it was horrible. But they came back and said, no, I can't see anything, can't see any cysts or anything like that. So you probably don't have it. And then we kind of had to sort of look at it again this time. It was very kind of, did you have a normal birth or was it a cesarean? Were you quite hairy before T? And he's funny as Dr. Seal because he said to me, in a way I wish you did have PCOS because then I could give you this medication and help you with your sort of your chemical results, because basically what he was saying was, chemically speaking, have symptoms of PCOS. So I think it's to do with a couple of things like prolactin and so the amount of hair growth, but everything else, including the actual existence of cysts on my ovaries, is not a thing. So he can't diagnose me, and apparently I'm a super weird anomaly. That's what I was getting from him anyway. And that was basically it. I was hoping to talk to him about more things, like the top surgery stuff I had to sort out, gender recognition certificate, possible like sort of bottom surgery and hysterectomy, but no, it's just literally an endocrinology appointment. So if you have to have an endocrinology appointment with Charing Cross, just bear that in mind. It's literally just like a half an hour appointment to talk about your hormones and answer questions based on that. That's it. So the result of that was, again, I do not have PCOS. The actual T dosage, that is going to be upped. The reason being that I kind of tweeted on the morning, my GP has not told me anything about the last blood test I had, which was in December. I wanted to measure my peak test again because the first set never got back to the GP somehow. It was really bizarre. The trough ones did, but not the peak, even though I had them like a week after each other and all exactly as it's supposed to be, but no, they just never got there, so I don't know why the hell happened there. So I had my peak. Turns out that my peak level at the moment is 21, and my trough is 5. So for those of you who don't know, your peak, I believe, is supposed to be 25 to 30, and trough is, I think, 7 to 13, something like that. So basically, my levels overall are a bit low. So with that information, he could then say, right, I am going to up your dose to 3 weeks, which is pretty common. I've seen other people do that before. Makes sense. He sort of very adamant without hesitation said, yeah, too low. Which is good. It might mean that changes happen faster or more intensely. I'm slightly nervous that it means that more acne is going to happen, but there we go. But yeah, I will do an actual 6-month on T in a separate video. I know I haven't done it, but again, Christmas and stuff, and it was right next to Christmas, so I will do that. And that was the result of that. So surgery, yeah, again, it was quite sort of stressful, and there was a lot of like proactive communication stuff I had to do. I was kind of like the middleman for a lot of it. For those of you who haven't seen my previous video about surgery, basically I said that Nishaw needed 2 people. And I honestly don't know if I misunderstood him or if he just didn't explain it very well. I mean, to be fair, it was at like 5 o'clock in the evening. So, I don't know. But the long story short is, I do not need a second person, hooray. Yeah, I'm more kind of relieved at this point than anything, because it was this thing of like, oh yeah, you need to write a letter, or Charing Cross needs to write a letter to show that you can have the surgery, and I thought he meant another person besides Dr. Crawford who wrote the kind of the first one. And then when I was at Charing Cross, I asked to see the letter that apparently had been sent, because I hadn't got it, Mr. Nishaw hadn't got it. There was all this drama as well at his NHS hospital at Castle Hill. It's been flooded, so there's all that going on. Yeah, so Vanessa had written out a letter, and I said to her, yeah, but I think he wanted another person to write it. And she said, well, we can't do that. We sat down and talked about it. And it's like, because I didn't properly talk about it with my first psychologist, that they couldn't do a separate approval, which was kind of worrying for me anyway, because it's like, okay, obviously there was the plan B, but it meant just like more work. But she said, ask him anyway if this is okay. Turns out it was okay. What he meant was he needed a recommendation and a diagnosis. He'd got the diagnosis, but not the recommendation, apparently. But I must have thought that meant a recommendation from a separate person, and it's also confusing. But yes, TLDR, or whatever the abbreviation is for watching a video, if you're thinking of going Nishaw private, it is apparently still one person's review or whatever, but you have to have in the letter a diagnosis of your gender dysphoria and needing surgery, and your recommendation to have the official double incision and blah, 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 which I think was what was missing, and I guess it's like a box ticking thing, isn't it? But yeah, so I'm really pleased that I don't have to go up to Harrogate or, pay money. I do technically have money available at a push, but even so, I didn't want to have to do that because it's far away and it's stuff. So I'm very, very relieved. It is getting closer. It's just under 8 weeks away. I had a bit of a realisation today, and every time now I think about the premise of me having surgery and not having these things attached to my chest in less than 8 weeks it's not exciting. That's kind of the wrong word. Obviously I am excited, but the most prominent emotion is just elation. It's relief. It's euphoria. It's the premise that I can have the chest that I should have had in the first place. And obviously there will be healing, and I have to wear the post-op binder and all that. I get that. But it'll be worth it. For some reason, with the 6 weeks off, my brain kind of accepts that as okay, because not only is it a physical surgery, but it's something I've been leading up to very intensely for the last 2.5 years. And before then, I was experiencing dysphoria a lot in this area. But I never kind of... I hadn't reached the point where it's like, I need surgery. And then when I did reach the point when I needed surgery, I could have basically had it the day after. But obviously not, because you have to go through all these hoops, and it's even longer. And you know what the absolute scariest thing was? About the whole kind of, going private for surgery. In the letter that they sent to, supposedly sent to Mr. Nishaw, it said quite sort of casually that I would have had another appointment with Charing Cross in September to talk about surgery. So that would have been my second referral, because on the NHS you need two. And that really kind of struck me almost like someone had kind of kicked me in the balls a bit, because they don't tell you about your appointments until like a month in advance normally, except for the one happened in June. But so there was me thinking, oh my god, so I would not have been able to get a second referral on the NHS because I thought that I could. I thought that was my backup. But no, I couldn't. That's just an endocrinology appointment. And because the waiting times between appointments are so long now, it would have been in September. Just 9 months of nothing. Just doing nothing. Like, you can... Well, not me, but you can fucking make a baby in that time. That's insane. And then, on top of that, is the wait for the referrals to get to the surgery, which Charing Cross are renowned for taking forever to do. Like, literally a couple of months at least. And then there's the actual surgery waiting times, if the surgeon is still doing NHS referrals, which Nishal just isn't at the moment. But say he was, that would have been another year, or possibly just over a year, which meant that me counting it up, it would have been about 2 more years before I would have got top surgery, as opposed to 2 months. Which it dreads me to think. And for those of you who that's the only choice that you have, I really, really feel for you. I managed to get through the NHS waiting for T, but I could not do it for surgery. I just couldn't. And I made the decision, but I still could make the decision to go private in November. And I just feel so lucky and so grateful each and every day that I have the support to be able to actually afford to do this, because so many people can't. And, I know that people say about top surgery, no, your time will come, but it's so hard to think, oh, my time will come, when it is so far away. Even if you say no when you're going to have it, but it's like a year, 2 years away. That's a long, long time. And even though it's a little better, in my opinion, to know roughly when it's going to be, so at least you feel more kind of in control of, okay, it's set in stone. You still have a year to wait, or 2 years, or however long. And even though you want to put it to bed because you know the date, you just can't. It's not like something fairly benign like a birthday where you don't really think about it for the year, but then it starts to get close and you might get excited. Or at my age, maybe not, because I'm nearly 30. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's not something that I've just been able to put away and forget or lock in a box. I can't help but think about it, because top surgery is something that will change my life. And until then, I mean, Finley, or Finn the Invincible, he did an amazingly concise video a few days ago explaining why top surgery is so important for so many of us. And it is like you are kind of in a prison. You can't do stuff. You can't go into certain spaces. You can't experience certain things. And some things are very, very small that people don't think about. And then there are other things that are major things, or quite big, that you want to do. Like, for example, a small thing. If, the postman rings the doorbell and it's like 7 a.m. without a binder, and you have to kind of get it on and know you're going to catch them in time and all this stuff. You don't have to worry about that after surgery. And then there's things like going on holiday, or camping, or car trips, things like that are just such a... It makes things so much harder to do. And I don't get me wrong, it's not like I've stayed in the house all the time. I have been some places, like I went to Dragon Meet, obviously there was the expo before then, but it just made things so much harder physically and mentally, because if you are feeling the strain physically, then mentally that impacts you, because you want to take it off, but at the same time you can't, because obviously, you know, you're in public and all this stuff. And that's the thing about binders, in that they, when you first put them on, they're brilliant and they make you feel so good about your body, and it's like they're gone, you know, completely. But when you get, I suppose, to my stage where I've been wearing a binder now for, yeah, about 2 years now, actually no, a bit more, I would say 2 years, 4 months, kind of on and off, and then sort of almost every day for 2 years. When you get to that stage, they just stop being a pleasure. It's kind of like a necessity, but I basically got to a stage where I had to not wear it as frequently as I wanted to, and I've had to kind of get used to that, and now it's just almost like an annoyance of, oh, I have to put it on, I don't want to put it on. But then if I try and not put it on and go a day without it, then that messes up my dysphoria, because I could feel them moving around if I'm walking. I'm worried that people will see them, you know, even something like this where they're actually pretty hidden, and I've passed without a binder on with this hoodie on, which is hilarious. Not all the time, but at times. It's like, you know, sometimes the pain is worth it, even though it's physical. You kind of have to almost do a bit of a, I've got a coffee in my hand, like balancing act thing, so it just becomes a bit of a nightmare, really. And I want to get rid of them. I want them off me. I've had enough. But I suppose the fact that the admin is now out of the way, at least I'm now pleased that that's all done. And I've got one more appointment for my op, before the op obviously, which is my pre-op, which is in February, and I think they sort of do height, weight, blood pressure, things like that, and Nisha sort of does a talk. I'm hoping I'll get a checklist. I've been sort of Amazoning, wishlisting stuff, just so I've got a list of things that I'll need, but I do hope that he gives out a checklist, because that'll be helpful. And then obviously the op is a week after, which is it a week or 2 weeks? I can't remember, but 21st, I suppose 2 weeks. Oh, excuse me. Oh yeah, that's one thing I can't wait to get rid of. When you get air trapped here, I don't know if anyone else experiences this. But yeah, sorry, this has become a bit of a ramble. I will be doing more top surgery updates, of course, when they come along. And I will sort of keep you up to date on those sorts of things. I will also be doing a New Year's resolution thing, or rather, in my case, it's goals. I don't really like the term resolution. It makes it sound like you've done something wrong, therefore resolve it. But no, it's sort of goals for 2019, because I'm very optimistic about 2019, minus the B word. I'm not going to say it. But minus that massive elephant in the room, I am very much looking forward to 2019. And I'm also, for those of you interested, I'm going to be doing another January Blues binder giveaway. This time, because I'm having surgery in the future, I'm not giving away 1, but 3 binders this time. And you know, these are for people who really need them. They're binders. I actually haven't worn them for a while, but I will, of course, do a separate video on that and explain how you can enter. But if you think, oh, I need a binder, or oh, my friend / relative needs a binder, then stay tuned. In fact, feel free to like this video and subscribe, that'd be very useful. And feel free to hit the bell, wherever the bell is now, because that will send you an email if I do a video, which I suppose is sometimes a little few and far between. But, as I'm going to be explaining in another video, I'm hoping that with surgery and stuff, that will affect that immensely, and I will pretty much not want to stop looking at myself and be all like narcissistic and things. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. So bye bye.